This meeting is being recorded.
Hello everyone, my name is James Strong. Today is December 7th, 2023. Probably our last meeting of the year, probably just because December 22nd is really close to the holiday, so I'm going to go ahead and say now that we're going to cancel that one. So this is the SIG-Networking Ingress NGINX project, which means it's a CNCF project, and it adheres to the CNCF Code of Conduct. If you have any issues, please report those to the SIG leads or myself and Ricardo. And with that, we'll go ahead and welcome one of our newest members and our newest approver for the Helm chart. Marco, do you want to give you a little bit of an intro to yourself and what you're going to be helping focusing on?
Yeah, sure. My name is Marco. I'm currently working for a German company which is focused on managed Kubernetes stuff. And in there, I've spent like more than a year now on supporting, maintaining whatever our Helm chart, which is mostly sync, copy, whatever of the upstream one with some customer specific stuff. And this is where I got into touch with Kubernetes Ingress NGINX. And yeah, so I'll focus on maintaining the chart stuff. Already got into this a bit and looking forward to get some of the old PRs merged soonish.
Yeah, I think as we walk through and talk about just maintaining the project and the releases, you'll see how that takes probably more time than it should. And then we'll go ahead and look at some of the issues. So again, thank you, Marco, for joining us, and thanks for joining us long. I know it's been a little while. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So as always, we're always dealing with CVEs. I think that's been the topic for the last year and a half. We pushed back 195 for an update because there was a Go CVE that got released on Tuesday. So I just pushed it back from Friday. Knowing that people do Argo pushes and like patch releases automatically, I probably shouldn't do releases on Friday, just to be cognizant of that. So that's one thing. We probably shouldn't do releases on Friday, so it's a good thing to take forward. But we've got a couple issues with the 121.5 Golang update. I'm getting a lot of Golang CI issues. And then the NGINX update, which is just a rebuild of NGINX. So Marco, this is just for you. We have our base image is NGINX with all of the other libraries that are needed. So when there's a CVE in, most of the time it's curl, libcurl, we have to rebuild the NGINX image, and then we have to promote it, then we have to rebuild the controller, and then we can do a release. So it takes about 4 or 5 PRs to get that resolved, just because of how the staging promotion works in Kubernetes. And the same thing with NGINX. If we have to rebuild it, like I know there's the 3.18.5 for Alpine. It's the same kind of thing. Bump the charts, promote them, and then do a release. But right now, the latest NGINX update is causing failures. So it hasn't been merged. I think it got merged to main. So this is the weird thing. It got merged to main because everything passed in CI. But now the CI into the 1.9 release train and the 1.8 release are failing. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to dig into those. I was going to attempt to rebuild them and see if it was just ghosts in the system. So we've got issues with that, and then issues with the Golang CI. So that's what I'm focusing on today and tomorrow.
Inta, I think, commented saying it's the S390 build that's failing on the one.
Yeah, I'm not 100 on that if it's S390, because it's also failing on my local system as well, and that's not. I don't think I'm forcing S390, but if it is, that might be a driving factor for us to continue to actually push the not building S390X. Margo, you might be able to help us out with that opinion. Not to put you on the spot, but I don't think you probably have many clients that are using S390X.
I don't think we have some. At least if you're sane, mentally sane, and you're running on cloud providers, you will probably not get any of them. I'm rather interested in, I think most of them are rather interested in moving to ARM. So if I would need to decide what we are doing next, kind of like keep on going, supporting S390X and putting effort in there, or moving on and do more on ARM, I don't know.
Well, yeah.
I'd rather
So,
choose the latter.
yeah.
But we hopefully already, I think we already have ARM, so you know what I mean. It's I think that's more worth it.
Yeah. I do need to dig into the NGINX failure. Yeah.
But what I'm interested in, like you said, it's failing on the release branches, but it's not failing on main. Either it's some difference in how we set up the GitHub workflows, like some steps are only executed maybe on main, but
No,
not on the release branches. This could be a difference. And apart from that, I think we did not cherry pick relevant PRs. Did you probably checked if we cherry picked all the PRs?
I looked at the container differences and the difference between the previous NGINX one and this one, and the only differences are what you would expect, and all of that's in Slack. So I don't. Hello. Hi, Travis. I'm gonna put you on mute.
Yeah, I remember you posted a diff of the image on Slack, and it was mostly related to mod security and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see too much differences, so I'm gonna probably spin up a cloud machine and do some testing, because the local stuff might be my problems just with my local setup. So there's that. Other not so great news, as you all are aware, we use lots of different Lua modules through OpenRusty. And there was one, when I looked at it last week, that they are doing testing for the 125 upgrade. It was the more headers module. I don't know. I assume it does exactly what it says it does, allows you to add more headers to the requests. That was the only module that was failing when we did the 125 upgrade. Again, same kind of thing. It was the build worked, but then when we went to go do the promotion, everything started failing, and it was that one module that I saw failing. So Gentile's going to look into that one, or is looking into it. I've got to follow up with him. So I don't think we're going to get 125 this year. Hopefully, beginning of next year, that will be our focus in January in the 110 release to get 125 out upgraded. So that's where we're at from a release perspective. And then just to talk a little bit more, Marco, to follow up on your question. So to just give a quick overview, so that it is recorded, the Mage charts, the Mage code does releases. It only assumes a controller release, but it also does the Helm release as well. The Mage code isn't separated to do just a Helm release. So we should be able to do that pretty easily. The thing that's concerning to me, and we can just talk about this more probably in the PR, is that when Chart Releaser creates the release notes, I don't know how it's going to pull those, because right now the release notes get pulled by the name, the title of the PR. So it's looking in the title of the PR, anything that says chart, Helm, and value. I think it's really just chart and Helm. So from your perspective, that's probably what we'll need to make sure that's in there, because it's really just pulling it's doing a diff between the version and main and looking at the titles of all of the PRs. And that's how we get all of the release notes for the Helm versus the controller. And then it just dumps them in the templates that you saw.
Yeah, I got the process up to there. I mean, as you stated, Mage files is mainly for computing the markdown stuff, and the releasers then just right now it's not pulling in the markdown we are rendering. There's a PR for this, and since one of us was already is also a member of Helm releaser of the chart releaser at Helm. I think it was Carlos. I'm not sure. Maybe he can take a look there because the workflow right now is not taking the markdown into account. This could be improved. Yeah, but apart from that, why don't we only do a git log on the charts directory? Wouldn't this be sufficient then?
So that other folks don't accidentally do a release?
No, I mean for generating the release nodes. What you meant is we for generating release nodes, we right now you said we are looking for something like chart or Helm in the commit message. Are we?
Yes, in the title, in the commit title.
Yeah. But then I think, yeah, maybe it would be worth looking for commits which in the charts directory only. But then this would probably, yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. It's, I'll say, rudimentary at best to pull all of those, because we looked at using the Kubernetes releaser, and then we also looked at the Git API. So we're not actually just diving into the like what the commit message is actually doing. So we can definitely add that function to where it's only looking for the commits to those files in the charts directory.
Yeah, apart from that, I'm perfectly fine with having it all in the Mage files and probably releasing them both together. That's not a problem. As long as you have some control over what actual version you're using and what tag it's ending up in. But yeah, I wouldn't split up the whole process as most of the changes are coming together. So like adding flags to the controller image or the controller binary, most of the time we also need to support them in the chart then. And
Yeah, there's not been a lot where we've released the chart separately, at least the last few years. I can't remember a time where we had to release a chart separately. But I'm sure there will be a use case in the future. But yeah, it's not terrible. It's just restructuring the Mage code, just proper code hygiene. Okay. With that, Long, I know you usually have a list of issues before we go into triage. Is there any that you wanted us to look at specifically?
I think somebody joined and the name said Travis's iPhone. So it was probably one of the issues where a very big user with a very large user base um, wanted things to work with a headless service. So the way we are doing headless service would also work, but he's using SSL pass-through, and then he wants SSL pass-through working in combination with a headless service as the backend. But then they kind of got really unhappy that we were not replying at the speed of commercial um, commercial organization. So they said they're just kind of
Yeah, no, I remember. I remember that one. Yeah, again, this is one of those things where I've repeatedly told folks in all of the talks, like Slack is at best, we're gonna miss messages. That's why we have the user versus dev. It was a year old. Like that's not an official support channel. Like that's not what it's for. It's for the community to help from a support perspective. And if there are issues that are impacting folks to that degree, to join the community meetings, like that's the best way to get our attention. The same thing with that last issue. There was another issue that was open for a year. And again, I'm sure Marco, we all get flooded with GitHub notifications and things get dropped unless it's a priority. And right now our priority has been securing Ingress and breaking out the control plane, data plane, and doing releases. Like anytime I get time to go look at Ingress, a release needs to happen. So it's unfortunate, and that's been my continuing message, is that there are 3, 4 of us now, 5 with Marco. Yeah. But that one was
I linked that
interesting.
issue in the chat, and I read the whole thread on Slack. And for me, it started like, okay, technical stuff, and we want to find a solution. But then it ended up in just discussing and showing who's the best, kind of, and discussing general topics about how open source works and how it should work in someone's opinion. And we went far from the original topic. For now, I assigned this one to me to reproduce it and see what are the differences and get in touch with the use case a bit. And I feel like it's really kind of a bug, because what they are doing should work if we are offering the SSL pass-through.
And I
Because
think
the only difference is they are using headless services instead of cluster IP. And we are not interested in the service address at all. Normally, we are mostly interested in endpoints. And that's why I'm wondering why it's not working. But apart from that, yeah, the whole discussion was a bit unlucky. Yeah, I don't want to tell in public.
One of the things I knew that we were looking at is the SSL pass-through, I think, was written in Go because I think it was a feature that wasn't supported except for NGINX Plus. And I think now that they've made it, I think that was the conversation, but I know that we can now get NGINX to do the SSL pass-through for us. I think that was part of one of the reasons why we wanted to go to 125 as well, is that feature is unlocked for us.
That's right. That's right. Ricardo has been talking about it, just changing the implementation. It's just unfortunate that it's not been done and the need has come up. But only, I think, significant aspect of this issue on the topic is that they say they have a very, very large user base that depends on this. It's simply because they have WebLogic as that backend application, and they maintain a chart for WebLogic, and for whatever reasons they are using a headless service for WebLogic, and it's actually quite simple. We need to just fix our current SSL pass-through implementation to also route. It's just a small add-on code, but it'll have very large impact and testing, and we don't have time and people to do that. That's it. We can't route. It's as simple as that. Headless service we can't route because we can use endpoints for detecting and all that, but actual routing is going to be layer 3, layer 4, and if the service doesn't have an address, with our current implementation, we don't have a way to route. Simple as that. So at least there's 2 aspects. I mean, I brought it up because first they wanted somebody to authoritatively respond as to what is the official response from Ingress NGINX team. As in, will we look at it? Will we not look at it right now? That's the kind of answer they're looking for.
Yeah, this whole thread is mostly about expectations. That's it.
Yeah.
And as we are doing it in our free time. It's still a decision if I want to spend time on that. But apart from that, I feel like we're not enterprise support. If there is a bug, we can have a look at it, and we are interested in fixing it. Yes, of course. If you're having a special use case which needs us to extend what we are implementing, what an Ingress NGINX can do, above what it is intended for, like there's an API we need to fulfill. And having a lot of annotation-based extra functions, features, whatever in there is probably not what we want to do, because someone needs to maintain it. And at some point, we cannot maintain all the custom use case features we implemented on annotation base apart from the official API.
Agreed. I also forgot I need to leave at about 11:50 because I have to go pick up my partner. So let's go ahead and look at some of the issues with some of the charts. So
James, so quick one. Somebody just now sent a message on the dev channel.
Yeah, the super sticky session PR. I was looking for that while you guys were talking. I couldn't find that PR because I know he posted earlier in the channel.
Okay, then you can continue. I look for it.
Yeah, but I did want to make sure we did at least do a few minutes of triaging because I see 2 update issues in here. So the installation chart failed, error getting secret. That's probably the web search. Usually that secret is the admission controller. Yeah, there it is. There's something wrong with the cert creation, and then the admission controller is going to fail because it doesn't have the cert secret. That's usually what this issue is. I wonder if they had permissions to do that. I'm just looking real quick. That looks great. I think that's one thing I'd ask him to see if the secret for the cert got created for the webhook. That's usually what the issue is on AKS.
Oh, I think this one got resolved in another.
I don't see a resolution. Long, can you go ahead and ask them to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask them to check on the cert to see if the cert got created.
Just from the error message, I'd say that their pod for creating, that's the pod for creating the secret, not for patching it. And since it's a timeout, do they have network policies in place which, so they should enable the network policies in the chart. If they are using the defaults, there are no network policies enabled. And if AKS, for example, which is their provider, is having restricted network policies in place by default, at least for the API server, I could imagine that, then this would also be a reason why they can't reach the API server.
Yeah, we've seen that one too. Because I know you need to do that for Azure on the security groups to allow that access as well. Good point. Ask them to double check that Long. I'm gonna assign that one to you so you can look at it.
Okay.
More
Yeah, just shout
timeout.
out if you need, reach out to me if you need some support in there. I can also take a look and maybe try out in a known cluster.
Okay.
Gateway timeout from Selenium Grid. Okay. Controller looks like it's up and running. What API call did they make that was timing out?
They are probably using, since they are on AWS, they're using ELBs, and NLBs have a timeout you can't change. So you can't go above this default ELB, NLB timeout. Normally it's a read timeout. So they only time out if they are not sending any packets, not even keep alive in the meantime. But yeah, that's what I remember.
You should be able to. I think you can set those in the annotation, but that. Where did you see the AWS piece? I didn't see that. Oh, there it is, right where my mouse is at. So, how did they deploy it? That's going to be the other thing, because if they used Helm, so yeah, it's going to be a classical. I think it's a classical load balancer. It also depends. I don't remember.
No, that I'd be interested in what they are trying to achieve, because the error message is an NGINX one. NLBs and CLBs, they don't give a message like this, and so I feel like they are. So if their backend is another load balancer, it could be what I just said. But if it's not, if they are just trying to reach a backend inside their cluster, then I'm wondering why they are getting this timeout. Because at first I'd figure out what's the backend inside the cluster, wherever, and then I would try lowering, instead of increasing those timeouts, rather lower them, to check out which of them is it. Like if you lower connect to 10 seconds, read to 20, and send to 30, and then you can see where it's timing out at which point of time. Plus, I'd be interested in logs of the controller, because no logs of the controller. Normally the controller or the NGINX inside tells you what's the exact problem, who is trying to reach, and why the connection timed out. Either it's a connect. So normally NGINX tells you it's a connect timeout, it's a read timeout, or it's a send timeout. That would be interesting.
Okay, we'll see what they say with that one. Because that one's gonna determine it. That one, yeah. See what they say.
Yeah, you can also CC me, and then if I got some time, I'll just ask some more questions in there. But I can't write down what's in my mind right now. Not during the meeting.
Yeah. This one, a retry on another endpoint if the first one fails. Like that sounds more. That's client side logic. Why, like?
Yeah, remember there's a problem between this next upstream feature, or however it's called. And first of all, I mean, if it's really what they are looking for, like NGINX is failing to do a request against one of its endpoints, you can configure this next upstream thingy, which tells it to use another endpoint, but this only works for some methods like get and head and options probably, but not for put, push, delete. And I'm not sure if this feature fails if you're having configured stickiness on the upstream side. This could be a problem because then NGINX doesn't know, should I really retry? You asked me to be sticky. Okay, I'm not retrying, or it's the other way around. Because then it would not be sticky anymore and fail anyway.
Okay. You said that's
especially with session cookies, this doesn't make sense because then you're getting a new session. If you're having a old school Java application, whatever, with session cookie in your backend, you're normally getting a new session cookie, and then it's gone.
What was the name of that feature? Next upstream hash or next upstream?
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Okay. I will not necessarily assign that to you, but I'll just drop it in the chat for you. Okay. The canary stuff has never been my strong suit because I've never actually deployed it.
I answered to your in Slack. There's the feature.
Yeah, that looks like something we'd have to. That'd have to be a feature request. Because if we don't have it now, then let's just go look. It usually shows up in the docs if we have it. Oh, it is there. So they can just set that. Because it's in the template, it's already there. Let me go find the docs for it, and then we'll just, this is the right one, proxy next upstream. Yeah. So let's go ahead and put that in there and close it out. Where's my search? That's what I want. Typing is fun. No? Is that in the config mail? I'll look at that one so we can keep going through. I'll update that one. Unobvious behavior of the canary ingress. If I create an ingress for a service that's being monitored by another ingress with canary settings, the new ingress does not work. Canary production. So they're switching between canary and production? Okay, so a new one.
I get it. They have so they are using the examples, and I think the examples are actually working. But what they are doing is adding a new ingress definition with a different domain, which is perfectly fine, but pointing to this canary service only. Like they are adding an ingress.
To both of them?
They can access this ingress service on purpose with 100%. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense why it's not working.
Well, they're not. Okay, I guess. Yeah, they are sending it there. Test probe. Upstream not found. Well, it's going to show us if there is one. What was the name of it? Test. Great name. What am I doing? Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Yeah, they don't have a...
James, are you saying something? I can't hear you, Marco.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe James, I think
He was
you're
muted a few minutes. He was muted a few seconds ago.
no, I think his laptop is frozen.
Oh, okay.
So I saw the issue just now. That's an invalid, as far as I think. I can explain half only, but I think that's an invalid use case. He's creating a new ingress for the canary backend. That's invalid. Why should, what logic is there, or what real world use case is there for creating a new ingress for a service that is supposed to be a canary?
Yeah, maybe because you want. I can imagine a real world use case. That's not a problem. I mean, mostly if you have Canary, you might want to do some checks. So you want a way where you can safely access it, and you don't have this Canary enabled, and you are totally sure that you are going to this pod and not to one of the other ones, to the normal ones. What I'm wondering is why it's not working, because for me, so just from the rendering, there are two different server blocks, but maybe it's somewhere in how the canary is implemented in one of them.
James, can you hear me now? I think you are.
Yeah, I'm in here twice now since Firefox crashed.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to join back in, even though I've got 3 minutes. I need to leave.
So the canary, you heard what Marco said, right? I commented saying it seems an invalid use case, because if you have a service that's primarily deployed on a cluster to be the canary for another service, then there is no practical use case to create a third ingress and have it go to the canary service as the backend.
Yeah, I would agree that it just seems weird. Like maybe just ask them what the use case is for the third one.
Yeah. So I was typing that saying we'll look into why this implementation is not working, but please also explain what's the practical use case for somebody to work on this.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Juan. And I'll follow up on the one. Marco, you've got a couple already assigned to you. And when I get back from picking folks up, my focus is on getting that release out today.
Yeah, regarding the release, do you need any more support? I opened a PR for the missing changelog, which also notes that users shouldn't use the chart 484. I think this could get merged before, and then regarding the chart, we can go directly to 4.9. But if you need some support for the other stuff, I'm around the whole evening. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I think with our previous conversation around releasing on a Friday, we might need to push to Monday.
Yeah,
well,
that's
we don't want to. Yeah, it's just a 195 release. It's the patch release for CVEs. We don't want to push the 110. But yeah, all right. Sounds good, folks. Thanks, Marco, for joining your first call. And if we don't talk, have a happy holidays, everyone.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
you
James.
too. The next one would be 21st, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's why I was canceling it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
We'll see in the new year then.
Yep.
Okay, then I wish you all the best. Happy Christmas, and next year then.
Next year then. Awesome.
James, quick one.
All right.
James,
What's up?
we're going to try and release on Monday without the NGINX bump, but you're bumping. There is no PR for bumping Alpine. That is going to come up later, right? You're going to do bump Alpine as well.
It just got merged to main. A new contributor pushed it in.
Great. Okay.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
I'll see you in Slack.
Yeah. Have a nice one. Nice meeting you, Marco.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.